Welcome in. We are talking about Hank Azaria here today, and from what I understand, he is the voice of many characters on The Simpsons and has played different roles in movies. And I was given the information, why is he all over the place? And well, first of all, his purpose in life is to do things that are unexpected. So that's just where we're going to start out with. And secondly, in life, people will feel like Hank Azaria is not controllable. So therefore, people want to put him in a box, put him on a leash, and control him. He is here to do things differently. He is here to be deaf to the words of others because he's here to start things. He's not necessarily here to continue to do things and finish them, but he is here to start them. And oh boys, does he ever want to start things. But he needs to make sure that when he does start something, that he informs the people around him what he's about to do. Because let's just take the analogy of a person owning a big pirate ship and them sailing out to sea before leaving, and they make these ripples in the water and everybody's fine. China in the ship beside them got knocked over because of the ripples in the wave, and if people just would have known, they would have prepared or gotten out of the way or even helped them to leave. So for Hank, it's important to inform people for the reason of them either helping or getting the F out of the way, or the purpose of this isn't to tell people how you're going to do it, where you're going to go, what's the final landing spot. The purpose is just to inform that you're leaving or you're going to do the thing you're about to do. Imagine if you decided to not let the dog out anymore and you just didn't inform anybody. Well, the dog's probably going to do some dirty deeds on the ground in the house because you decided not to inform anybody around you. So your actions really do impact those around you. So talking about this as well, you really need to slow down when you're making your decisions. When you are making decisions in the heat of the moment, whether it be in ecstasy or in pure anger, that's not a good time to make a decision. We have a train going by right now. So it's very good for him to put some time between his initial ask and his then informing of what he's going to do. He will then start to make commitments that are correct for him because he does have consistent access to willpower. Something that is unique is that he likes being alone, and just because he likes being alone, it doesn't necessarily mean he's lonely. Being alone, he's allowing himself the time and space to care, to have these extreme behaviors, and to have these behaviors of self that are going to be correct for him when he's alone. So another reason why a person could see Hank as way out there is because he is extreme. He is going to reinvent the wheel because it could be done better maybe. But in all of this experience, he needs to remember that just because he likes to start something, it doesn't necessarily mean he needs to start everything at once or do everything at once. He needs to make sure that he puts one foot in front of the other because he doesn't necessarily have the expertise on where to land his feelings. So, one foot in front of the other, one task at a time, because if he tries to do more than one task at a time, every task is just going to be a watered down version of what it could have been. He knows how to endure. So his extremes, he knows when they should end. Now, something about him is that he's going to be confused until he has realizations. So he's going to be confused until he isn't. He's going to have doubts until he formalizes them. But he's going to be doubtful until he isn't. So he's going to seem like a confused person, a doubtful being, but he will have his clarity, and he just needs time. He needs a little bit longer to ingest than the typical person. He is a person who enjoys stimulation. So stimulation with extremes and wanting to start stuff. We're starting to get a good picture here. We have someone talking in the background now. All right, so we can actually talk about the different ways in which Hank really knows at a deep, like, DNA level who, like, in order to survive, we need food, shelter, and maybe something to believe in. And he knows what to do in order to get all of that. What he also knows in order to get all of that is revolution. He knows what hands to shake. He knows how to get from not sitting at the table at all to sitting at the head of the table. He has a skill of being able to get from nothing to something. Like I said, he knows what hands to shake. So making sure that those handshakes are something that can endure. Because once again, he doesn't want to spend energy on stuff that isn't correct for him. What's fun about Hank is that he is an influence, and he can't just be like, hey, I'm the influence. No, it's going to be his repeated behavior of extremes over time that is going to show the collective that he can be the influence. And over time, that's what he's going to gain, is that influence. He also does have this creative self-expression. I wonder if that's where all of his voices come from, this creative self-expression. But either way, he is a person who is meant to be put in management. People are just going to see him as a person. Okay, I like to say Donald Trump in this part where stuff just spews out of his mouth and he doesn't know what's about to spew out of his mouth until it actually happens. And that's okay, because that is what's correct for him. And I bet the words I will, I won't really mean a lot to him. But he is a materialist. He's here to do the money. He is also a sensitive being, and he's here to synthesize the moodiness that he experiences. And if he's in a mood, he shouldn't go out and about and do the things that he doesn't want to do, because that's just going to end up doing these things like overeating or all of these other things that you do in the feels when you're moody. But he does know how to provoke. He knows how to get people in the proper spirit in order to, care, endure. So another thing that we can look at regarding Hank Azaria is that he is here to struggle. He's here to be stubborn. But we're not talking about struggle for the sake of struggling. No, he's going to fight and take risks for the things that are worth struggling for. And for him, it could be extreme things. For him, it could be stimulating ideas. For him, it could be things that help him get from doubt and confusion. But it's always going to be with caring. So yes, as I said before, he is meant to be deaf to some of the things that life tells him. He could be told a thing 20 times until he finally hears it at the deeper meaning, like, oh, this is what you were talking about when you said that. So, what can make Hank Azaria angry? He could go harder, better, faster, longer without even being asked to do so. He's going to burn himself out if he tries to be like the Energizer Bunny. It's going to make him frustrated. It's going to make him angry to... Maybe family and friendship makes him angry. Maybe that's what he feels is wrong is in his relationships. Is family and friendship. Maybe he feels that's what's wrong, like I said. But what makes him angry is possibly people's expectations of him needing to know where he's going, his love in life, and his identity. And when he tries to prove that, that's when he's going to end up angry. But he is here to try many things. He's here to do many things. He's here to be creatively expressive in a variety of ways. And when Hank walks into a room and he's like, nope, then that is not the place for him. He needs to get out, maybe even go to the place across the street to have an experience, because then there he will be having the proper experiences with the proper people. What makes him angry is trying to know things that's really not meant for him. And what makes him angry is trying to be inspirational. He is naturally an inspirational being. When he goes about risking and fighting for what is worth risking and fighting for him, and when he does provoke those things in the proper fashion, that's when he's going to become inspirational to the collective, to his tribe. So there's no extra steps that he needs to do in order to be inspirational. He's just natural at it. So some other things that we could talk about are how Hank understands deeply that his network and his brotherhood and sisterhood mean everything to him. That's where his opportunities are. Excuse me. And his brotherhood and his sisterhood, there's very few close people that he has near him, and then there's many. But the people that he does hold dear and near to his heart, probably said that backwards, he gives them a lot of chances, but when he finally burned that bridge, he's never going to let you back over that bridge. And he cares deeply. So deeply. Another thing that we could talk about regarding Hank is that he's a role model. He is a person who is here to have this 3-part life where he seems very wise as a young being, and then after around the age of 29, things start to change, and he starts going to cocoon to lick off the wounds that happened from the first part of his life. But then he's going to be thrust back out into life again. And that's probably where we're seeing him as, is this thrust back out into life again. That happened in his 50s. So if you want to subtract that from his birth date, then you can see how timely that is. So what's his environment going to be like? Well, he's going to be a fighter for a lot of his environment and for the half of his life. So I wonder what he fought for. And then the other half of his life is going to lead to provoking. So it's this really deaf type of environment where he just doesn't hear what people say. But there's lots of love around his environment, going from love and ending up in these extremes. That's where his life is headed, is extremes. So the fact that someone started out by saying, why is he all over the place? Oh my God, people just want to tame him. He's here to be extremes for the second half of his life. He's here to do unexpected things. He's here to. There's just so many different places where we can see how he's an extreme being. He's able to take risks where other people aren't able to take risks, and it's just beautiful to see. So, the type of people that he needs in his environment in order to succeed are role models, sages themselves. That's the type of people he needs around to succeed. And the type of environment that he needs to be in to succeed is that of a hermit. Away from the drama, quiet, going to be called out for your skill that you do have. And when I say skill, that's the improper word that I'm using there, but I just can't think of the proper word. So your mastery, your talent, your gift, whatever that skill is, but he needs to make sure that when he is called out in his environment that he takes the proper call, and that's when he needs to slow down and make those decisions. Even if it's an opportunity of the lifetime, he really needs to slow down and make his decision, because it's going to be very impactful. He's going to create waves, and that's what he's here to do. When he sleeps, I bet he feels like he's not sleeping at all. I wonder if he just has continuous dreams. And I wonder if the weak spot in his life is values. I wonder if what he finds juicy and sexy in other people are their values. All right. Well, we're going to cut it off there. It was a really fun time doing Hank. I'm glad that I got the opportunity to do this. I will talk to you guys all later. Don't forget to subscribe or follow. I was going to say swallow. That is all.